Greetings, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. 3 days ago, I was melting in a heat wave, and today, I'm shivering and wearing a jacket. The world is dying. That's completely irrelevant to anything. I'm just sitting here in absolute shock of that. It reminds me of a day back in 2021. It was a warm March day. It was in the 20s. The sun was out. I was warm. I was like sitting out in the sun on my balcony and it was lovely. The next day, I went out for a walk and I got snowed on. That's the most drastic weather change I've ever experienced in my life. But this is a close second. Like, it was so hot and now I'm literally shivering and it's freaking summer. It's the middle of summer. What is going on? The world is dying. Anyway, now that I've gotten that little rant out of the way, today's video. I was recently informed about this subreddit that exists called Traumatize Them Back. And I find the prospect of this absolutely hilarious. So basically what it is like someone will say something inappropriate to you and you just kind of respond in the way that's going to shock them the most. And it's brilliant. It's fantastic. It brings me great amusement. And today I wanted to share that amusement with you. So we're gonna have a look at some fun Traumatize Them Back stories and just enjoy them together. But before we get into it, I would like to say a massive thank you to today's patron of the day, Andrea. I appreciate your support so much. Thank you so much for joining. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. And if anyone else would like to become a patron, you go to patreon.com/savvycat or click the top link in the description. I appreciate it greatly. Karen said, boys will be boys, so I returned the favor. More than 20 years ago, me and my sisters were still in elementary and our mom took us to a shopping mall for clothes and groceries. Major supermarket was attached to the mall. After everything was over, we stopped by the bookstore where us kids picked whatever books we wanted while she was picking educational books for both of us. The bookstore was also selling some physical discs for various softwares, including games. While both of us were looking into games we wanted, a little boy of our age came next to us, opened one of the discs, and poked my sister in the eye. My sister immediately started to cry her eyes out, and my mom rushed over to see what was happening. She scolded the little boy after hearing what happened, to which he got upset and grabbed his Karen of a mother. Karen comes over and demands to know who yelled at her son. The two ladies begin getting into a shouting match. My mom argued the kid had no reason to hurt my sister like that and should be taught better. Karen argued boys will be boys and that he doesn't know any better. She asked my mom, why are you overreacting? Hey, whoa. Boys will be boys, he doesn't know any better? I think as his mother, it's your job to teach him to know better. And right here, ma'am, is a very valuable teaching moment. Because he just did a bad thing. You say he doesn't know not to hurt people? So why don't you now tell him to not hurt people? And then he does know better. He's an elementary age child. He definitely should know better by now, but seemingly you've constantly let him get away with hitting people because he's just boys will be boys. He's a boy. He's allowed to hit people. No, you're meant to tell him he's not allowed to do that. So he does know better. That's literally your job as a parent. Is to do that. I decided enough was enough and I did a frontal kick on the kid as hard as I can, making him fall on his ass. I saw there was a nice footprint imprinted on his shirt. He began to let out the most annoying cry I've ever heard. The Karen quickly rushed over to her little turd and began shouting at me. I looked her in the eye and said, boys will be boys. Why are you overreacting? She tried to argue more, but her friend, sister, held her back and ushered her out of the store. We went to get burgers and fries afterward, but my mom also lectured me about how violence isn't the answer. Me, being a little sprouty elementary kid, didn't care and rode that hype train for weeks. Fair. Fair enough. That was the correct response. Honestly, like, no, violence isn't the answer, but like in this instance, you know, his mom wasn't going to teach him. You're also a child. So, you know, you did use her words back at her and your mom did tell you because you do know better. And she made sure to tell you to know better because boys will be boys means that boys will be respectful, lovely young people who are kind and caring like people should be. Completely valid. I support you, I salute you, and I also, you know, the lecture was also necessary as well. I think both are correct. And I hope that boy did learn his lesson. Although based on the story, I feel like this mother probably told him he did nothing wrong because boys will be boys. It's the most ridiculous thing in the entire world. There is not a worse sentence that exists than boys will be boys. This is, didn't look pretty enough 4 hours after my mom died. This happened a really long time ago now, but I've never seen anyone run away from a situation quite so quickly, and sometimes I do wonder what the guy thought or if he learned his lesson. So my mom had been terminal and was in hospice care in our home. We knew time was limited, however, when I'm upset, the first thing to go to hell is my sleep schedule. I had slept 2 hours that night and hadn't been getting much more sleep than that for the few weeks preceding this, but she ended up passing slightly before 4 in the morning that this took place. So after she passed, I decided I needed caffeine to get through the day, so when the nearest gas station opened up at 8 a.m, I headed over there for some energy drinks. I likely did look a bit of a mess, it's easy to tell when I'm tired, and I was wearing college merch that was bigger than my usual size. I get out of my car and start shuffling through my clothes. I couldn't remember which gigantic pocket I had put my wallet in. While I did that, this man pulls up to a pump in a very shiny car. I don't remember what he looked like, beyond he looked a bit like a very put together game show host. This man turns to me, he was 20 feet away, so this was all said loudly, and says, "It's a shame someone so pretty can't improve everyone's day with a smile." I burst out crying, ugly crying with the sobbing mouth thing and shaking. Just went from standing there hoping I hadn't left my wallet at home to bawling in a mostly empty parking lot. I did manage to yell something like, "I'm sorry I'm not fucking pretty enough for you when my mom died 4 hours ago." Dude turned on his heel and left. Didn't pump gas, didn't go inside for coffee, didn't apologize, just got in his car and left. I was saved by standing in the parking lot sobbing by a woman who I think was jogging and heard what the man and I had said to each other and the employee of the gas station, who were very kind. Oh my God. I mean, that was a completely reasonable reaction. Completely valid and reasonable reaction to that. Oh my God, the audacity. The audacity. It's never a good time for anyone to say that to you, ever. This time particularly is the absolute worst. Like, bro, you don't know what people are going through, you know? Like, if someone looks like they haven't slept for a week, then they probably aren't doing too great, you know? And regardless, even still, like, no one exists to be pretty for you. No one needs to smile at you. Sometimes, you know, you actually need a reason to smile, and some random man coming up and telling me that I'm too pretty to not smile, it's not one of the reasons I should smile. That's one of the reasons I will probably frown even harder. I so hope this did traumatize him. I really hope that he never did this ever again. I have my doubts, but like, you know, maybe it worked. Maybe this really stuck with him. He absolutely deserved this response. The fact he didn't even say sorry, the fact he just got in his car and fucking bolted, coward. Fucking coward. Own up to the fact that you just came in here and were just very rude and just a shitty person and fucking fuck off, you know? Own up to the fact that you're an asshole and apologize. And then like maybe just don't do it again. That's my advice. Once was at a bar where some douche was hitting on a lesbian woman, and when she told him she was a lesbian, he said, "You just haven't had the right dick yet." Hearing this, I, 6'2", 280-pound straight man, began aggressively hitting on him. The guy is like, "Hey bro, I'm not gay." To which I responded, "Are you sure? Maybe you just haven't had the right dick yet." Perfect execution. Absolutely brilliant. The best way to throw someone's words back at them. Oh, I'm sure I would love to see the look on his face after you said that to him. I would absolutely love to see the look on his face. I'm sure this greatly amused the lesbian who was sitting there also, because man, that's funny. It's like quality content. Everyone should do this, I think. You know, if you are in a position to be able to do this, as this man was, I think that that's the valid and reasonable response to this, because that's fucking hilarious. Like, if you are gonna dish it out, you best be able to take it. Proud misogynist meets child of domestic violence. Oh dear. Just discovered this subreddit and figured I'd pull directly from an old post of mine and bring my own story from my cashier days to the table. I was ringing up a just past middle-aged man's groceries for him, and he happened to be cashing in our weekly deals and coupons. He looked at his total and flashed a wry smile. "You can't beat that discount like you can beat your wife." I'm sorry? I'm fucking sorry. What did you just say? That's meant to be funny, is it? Not willing to give him any rope, I pretended I didn't get it. He said, "You never heard that one? You can't beat that like you can beat your wife?" I said I didn't get it. I say this to anyone who makes a tasteless, demeaning joke. You will when you're married. And as I'm sacking this guy's groceries, I act on one of my darker impulses. Yeah, I remember when my dad knocked my mother's teeth out. The dude's bravado shattered, noticeably. Oh, sorry, that wasn't very funny then, was it? He said with a nervous smile. You know, feels good to rip someone's balls off every now and then. The fact that it took someone pointing out the fact that domestic abuse is a very real issue that people suffer from to figure out that it wasn't a funny joke is wild to me. And not that it's not a funny joke in general, just that it's only not funny to joke about with victims of domestic abuse. And like, bro, one, you never know who that is. It affects a lot of people. And two, how is it funny? Like, I'm sticking with this person here because you never actually explained how it's funny other than saying you'll get it when you're married. Is that you just confessing to being an abuser there? Are you saying that you beat your wife? Is that why it's funny? Or that you want to? Jail. I don't understand. I've also never heard this before. And if I ever did hear it, I wouldn't know what to do with myself. This person responded absolutely perfectly. And I hope, again, that he was traumatized enough by this response to never do it again. Because, sir, that's so inappropriate and not funny at all. Like, in what mind do you think to say that to someone? You know? Like, what goes through your head that makes you say that? Oh, it's weird to touch a stranger's tummy. So when I was pregnant with my daughter, I had many strangers touch my belly without bothering to ask. The first time it happened, I froze. Then after going home and stressing out the entire evening about it, naturally, I hated how it made me feel, so I figured out how I would handle it the next time. The next time it happened, I just did that shit right back. I put my hand on their belly and waited until the inevitable moment where they looked up at me. We then locked eyes, didn't move my hand and said, "Oh, it's weird when someone touches your belly uninvited." I thought that was what we were doing. The face I got in return was so satisfying, and I felt like I got some petty revenge. I began hoping someone would do it so I could do it back. I encourage you to do the same if you were ever in that situation. That's brilliant. It's like, actually fucking brilliant. I can't believe people actually do that. The amount of pregnant people you see saying people will just like touch their bellies is astounding to me. Like, who does that? Like, I've never once in my life felt the impulse to touch a stranger. Like, just because someone's pregnant, like, why do you think that's an okay thing to do? In what world is that an appropriate thing to do? I just do not understand what goes through your head that makes you do that. And this was the absolute best way to respond to that. I hope more people do this because that's so fucking funny. It's weird to touch each other's bellies? I thought that's what we were doing. Like, having it have to be done to them in order to realize how fucking weird it is, though, again, that's astounding. Like, they didn't even consider the fact they were touching you. They're just like, wow, pregnant belly. What? Yeah, I hope you got to do it to more people too, but I also don't, because I also don't wish more people touched you, you know? But I hope if ever anyone is in a situation like this, you now have the excellent thing to do back, because it's brilliant and I think completely valid. She's mighty active for a dead woman. I was working at Subway and in strolled this middle-aged wannabe cowboy. We're at the toppings and I ask, "Will that be all?" He said, "That's what I said to your mother last night." I just stared at him and he continued with, "I'm saying I had sex with your mom last night." That's just, the fact he had to fucking explain that, the fact he felt it was necessary to explain it because he thought that would make it funny is absolutely hilarious, actually. I just blinked and said, "Well, she's rather active for a dead woman." Then he went white and said, "Why does this happen every time I make that joke?" Why does that happen every time I make that joke? The girl's mom is always dead. I just shrugged and said, "Maybe take it as a hint to not make that joke." That's so funny. That's like actually fucking hilarious. You make this joke often. Clearly, people have responded to you saying their mother is dead multiple times. Like, this implies like at least more than 2 times before this experience. And you still do it? It's still something you try pull. Now, whether or not the other people are lying makes no difference. You know? Like, it doesn't matter. They're like traumatizing back, trying to make you regret your joke so you don't tell it again. Whether they're dead or not doesn't matter. Clearly, it didn't work. Clearly, this, dumping on you that you keep making jokes about people's dead mothers doesn't work for you because you keep making the same joke. And why? Why do you still do it? Do you think there was another time? Do you think this man kept doing this joke? How many more dead mothers do you think he said he had sex with? Because like, bro, it's not even a funny joke. Like, are you 12 years old? Like, are you a child? It's not funny, especially to strangers. Like, those are jokes you make with your friends. You don't make it to strangers when you're like a grown adult, you know? Like, come on. And on top of this, I didn't even mention, this person's mother died recently. Like, this was their first day back at work after their mom died, which really just adds insult to injury now, doesn't it? Like, fucking hell. Imagine hearing that joke on your first day back at work. Like, that would be the least funny thing I've ever heard. Like, that would be so unfunny. This man, I really hope he learned his lesson after the at least third time. It seems like he doesn't learn very quickly or easily, but we can hope. This one is, male colleagues said he would love some sexual harassment. Of course he did. Of course he did. Right after Me Too, and I work in a very male-dominated environment, I'm a surgeon, one of my older colleagues said at pre-round, where there was us two and two nurses, both women, I don't understand the problem with Me Too. Personally, I would love some sexual harassment. I dropped a pen on the floor and told him, why don't you bend over and pick it up? I decided to go all creepy and pushed my chair out from the table and grinded in the chair and said, come on, sweet boy, pick it up. Let me see your butt muscles work. Ooh. The nurses laughed and he got so red and flustered, I just sat back at the table and said, was it what you wanted? Was it good for you? Just tell me next time you want to be harassed, okay? Needless to say, he never mentioned it again. That's, once again, brilliant. These stories are like God tier. Like, genuinely fucking fantastic. The best way to go about this completely. Men, I wish I could have some sexual harassment. No, you fucking don't. Fuck right off. Oh my God. I hope this man learned his lesson. Clearly, he never mentioned it ever again. But the fact it had to be spelled out to him, like the way in his head he's thinking of sexual harassment as being like just what, like consensual sex or just like women flirting with him, where I don't think you understand that there's a difference between like consensual flirting and like flirting where it's not wanted. And one of those is harassment and one of those is not. And I think that people really need to learn the difference. And I'm glad that this woman was able to show him a difference here, because clearly he was a bit uncomfortable about it. You know, if people are asking to be harassed, like literally asking, I think we should follow through. I don't know how many men are out here saying, I wish I was sexually harassed in front of women, but I honestly think that it's way more than it should be. I feel like there's like a decent amount of men who say that. And I feel like this is a really good way to go about teaching them their lessons. So I implore anyone who is in this situation to give this a try and say how it goes. Traumatize them back. Brilliant. Genius. Some people have big brains, you know, and I respect the hell out of it. I wish I had a big brain. Wedding transphobe crashed a friend's wedding after party, so I snapped back at her with her own logical flaws. For context, I'm in my 20s and I'm an AFAB non-binary gender fluid, but I prefer masculine terms. I am out to everyone in my life, and I was recently the best man at my childhood best friend's wedding. We've known each other since we were kids and way before I got my binder and started styling my hair in a more gender neutral way. All that is to say my friend is a very supportive man, and both he and his wife, who is actually bi but not out to anyone except me, my friend and a few others, knows why I use the women's room, and despite calling me his best man, he knows I don't fully identify with that term and he fully supports me being non-binary gender fluid. So, it was during the after party, or whatever you call those things. I'm in a poly relationship, so I can't legally get married with my partners, so I don't know anything about weddings. When I met one of the bridesmaids, she was my friend's wife's sister, and she is transphobic, which, if her family is anything like her, probably explains why my friend's wife isn't out to anyone in her family that I know of. Anyway, I had to use the bathroom, and I guess she followed me in there, or had to go to the bathroom at the same time I did, and I walked into the women's room since I'd been using that one my whole life and was more comfortable using that bathroom. When I exited the stall, she was waiting for me. As I washed my hands and left, she went on a rant about how I should be using the men's room and we don't need perverts in the women's room. She was loud and clearly trying to draw attention to me and get a crowd to support her. I didn't want to ruin my friend and his wife's special day, but eventually I got fed up and turned to her and said, "Ma'am, I bleed out of my parts every month. I have used the women's room as long as I can remember. I was born with the same parts as you. So you're telling me I'm perverted for using the bathroom I was assigned at birth, therefore countering your whole argument entirely? Look, if I had a flat chest and more confidence in which bathroom I wanted to, I would use the men's room more often, but I don't want to look at random guys' parts outside of my own partner's." Normally I'd curse this bitch out for her dumb logic, but there were kids present. She looked at me dumbfounded as if she had a moment of realization that not all trans people were born male and looking to invade women's spaces. She gaped like a fish for a moment and then, red-faced and angry, left the room. I apologized to my friend for ruining his day, and he and his wife laughed and said she deserved it. She did deserve it. Oh my god. That is so funny, right? And like the fact that so many of these transphobes like don't understand nor care about what being trans actually means. They fully 100% are like convinced that it's nothing more than like men dressed as women going into the women's room to like look at naked women, which is so funny for many reasons. Like, it's not, they think that that's going to be very obviously like male looking people going into women's rooms for perverted reasons. And it's fucking hilarious too, because like you were calling them out for this, right? Like this person was being called out, but like, did you see anything perverted happening? Or did you see someone walk into a stall, come out, wash their hands, and then leave? Like, tell me what about that is like perverted in any way at all. Like, it's just not. It's just not. And I love these like transvestigators of being like, oh, someone who looks male or looks not feminine enough for me is using the women's bathroom. I have to go and confront them. I have to save the day and everyone will cheer me on. Like, no, it doesn't work like that, because most of the time you can't tell. And this is extra funny because it's just like you're validating their gender here, you know? You are straight up calling them out and being like, well, I know you're not a woman. So I'm sure that was a bit validating. Hilarious nonetheless. Absolutely deserved. I would have loved to witness that happen. Traumatized a friend of my parents for over a month by suggesting his own proposed cure for depression. My parents know a guy who's the generic, insufferable, misogynistic, gross man with little regard for others, but they keep him around because he's married to their friend, a very sweet woman, and they go everywhere together. Let's call him Gordon. Many years ago, I was probably still a minor, it was my dad's birthday, and Gordon was around being his usual gross self. By this point in the night, he had already commented on my sister's boobs in front of her, so I was pissed to say the least. At this point, he starts talking about a friend of my mom, let's call her Mary, who was not present. Mary was going through terrible depression and tobacco addiction, and she was a very sweet lady otherwise. This guy starts saying, you know what Mary needs to feel better? She needs some good dick. When she gets some good dick, she'll feel way better. Everyone is uncomfortable, but nobody stops him. So I put on my best serious but polite face and asked with a soft voice, but man, Gordon, have you ever suffered with depression? Don't you know how it feels? Well, of course, he says. We have all had depression at some point. Not even gonna get into that one. I put on my absolutely sweetest voice. And Gordon, have you ever tried some good dick? You said it cures depression. And the 10 people around start laughing their asses off. Gordon shatters. He starts saying loudly that he doesn't like dick. For the entirety of the rest of the party, he follows me around in a very creepy way and whispers to my ear, just so you know, I do not like dick. All night. I'm pretty sure if we were alone, he would have tried to hurt me. So a month or two pass by, and my parents and I are in the car going somewhere, and my dad asks very nonchalantly, so what did you tell Gordon at the birthday party the other day? You know what? It doesn't matter what you said. He deserved it, and you did well. Just so you know, he's still going around saying that you hurt him. Must have been pretty good. I told them the story, and they laughed their asses off and congratulated me. Still one of my proudest moments. That's so valid to be a proud moment. That's the best. That's such a good response. Such a good way of handling that situation. And I am glad there were people around. Scary stuff, but like the denial bit, like, bro, why did you need to keep repeating that over and over? Why did you feel the need to justify that and validate that? Like, why was it such a necessity to be like, I don't like dick. I don't. Just so you know, I don't like dick. You didn't need to say all that, because I think most people would have just kind of moved on from that and been just like a little bit embarrassed and been like, shut up. No, I'm straight. And then like moved on. It was clearly a joke, and holding on to it for months, clearly it got to you a little bit. And the everyone's been depressed. Like I said, we're not going to get into it, but like that's being sad is not depression, you know? And I feel like we really need to like state that there is a difference between being sad and being depressed, but I don't think that matters to Gordon. It worked out well that he said yes, because obviously you were able to get this fantastic result out of it. And I hope that his wife is okay, because if she's like a sweet and lovely woman and this is who she's married to and they never go anywhere without each other, I hope she's doing okay. And I hope someone is able to check in on her, because I don't know anything about anyone here, but I'm worried about her. Be homophobic to your secretly gay daughter? I'll bring my fiance to your family gathering. My 25 female fiance, 24 female, is a trans woman. Let's call her V. We met at a pride parade and bonded over our similarities. We're both lesbians and we're immediately attracted to each other. We exchanged numbers, becoming fast friends, all while our crushes on each other developed. She confessed to me at the same parade we met at. 4 years later, she proposed that same day, June 5th at the same parade, so very recently. I'm not out to my family, but V is. That is such a cute story, may I say? That's adorable. I'm obsessed with that. I'm so happy for you. Her family is supportive. Mine isn't. At all. I haven't attended many family reunions since I turned 18 and moved out, because having to deal with their not so subtle bigotry was upsetting and exhausting. But I was tired of being in the closet, so I decided I was going to come out, be loud about it, and cut contact. I wanted my drama and I knew how to get it. All these people who made me feel uncomfortable and paranoid my whole life, who would call me slurs as a joke, who would say they'd pay a guy to fuck me if I turned out queer, were going to pay with their dignity. Jesus Christ. Yep, fair enough. Go fucking traumatize them. Go do it. Do whatever you must. Oh my god. At first, I was going to leave V out of this to keep her safe, but she found the idea too funny to pass up and begged me to come with her. Eventually, I caved because I really can't resist when she pulls those puppy dog eyes on me, and we went out to buy all the gay shit we could find. We got fucking confetti launchers for this. I will admit, we maybe went overboard, but it was probably the best week of my year so far, planning our evil scheme. The night before the big day, me and V slept outside watching the stars and giggling like girls at a sleepover. I was never allowed slumber parties as a kid because my parents thought I would summon demons, do drugs, and fuck girls. I did one of those things that night, but now here I am with my female fiance planning to ruin their fragile egos. I'm fucking so obsessed with that. That's ideal. That's beautiful. I love that for you. Just like sleeping under the stars with your fiance, giggling like schoolgirls. That's the cutest thing ever. I'm so happy for you. Anyway, then came the morning. I hadn't gotten tons of sleep. I was busy planning, giggling, and flipping V around like a pancake, but I was ready. We got dressed up in all gay clothes, rainbows everywhere, highlighted with orange and pink, sprinkled with pink, white, and blue. We had a banner that said, "Congrats, it's a F-slur." And we were ready, confetti cannons in hand. We got in our Jeep and drove out to the countryside where everything smelled like wheat, horse shit, and limited minority rights. We made it to the many-acre farm my uncle lived in and heard the ruckus of day-drunk Republicans stepping out of our lesmobile, as we call it, and getting ready. We huddled together, carrying the banner and wrapped in a rainbow flag. As we walked through the rusty gates, we locked eyes with a young cousin playing in the dirt. We caught more glances as we walked closer into crowds, and when we got to the middle of everything, we popped the cannons. I don't know why they were so freaked out. They shoot beer cans full of colored smoke every time someone gets knocked up to reveal the fetus baby's bits, but I guess the paper shreds being colored is what did it. It was hysterical. Fragile conservatives watching their family reunion be all homoed up with the work of two very overkill lesbians. V and I were laughing like donkeys. We no doubt looked insane. Then I saw them, my parents. My dad grabbed me by the shoulder and scolded me about not spreading the agenda, and I could only giggle at his foolish attempt to scare me. He pointed at V, asking, "Who in tarnation is this?" Who says tarnation? I've never actually heard that used before. Which I responded to by saying, "We're getting married next year. Sorry, you uninvited." My mom went off the handle on V, yelling at her about turning her daughter gay, which definitely scared me, but we had planned what to do if this happened. V stood back and her deepest voice said, "Thank you for seeing me as a woman. I very much appreciate it," and walked off. We got back in the lesmobile and sped home laughing all the way. My family keeps texting me about how I ruined everything at the reunion and how I made a scene. I did. And that was the whole point. That's glorious. Truly, truly beautiful. The fucking icing on the cake being your trans fiance and a deep voice being like, "Thank you for seeing me as a woman." That's gold. That's like actually perfect. I'm obsessed with that so much. This whole thing, like, it must have taken like courage to do, you know? Like, you've had separation and everything, but having separation and wanting to do something and actually doing it are two separate things. And like, I can imagine the excitement mixed with the nerves and the like fear that was there a bit as well. And it's fucking fantastic. I am obsessed with the parents being like, you ruined the family reunion, as though you were gonna care. Like, what did they think the point of this was? Did they think you went to celebrate with them? Like, obviously it ruined the day. That was literally the purpose. And that was just validating to hear you ruined it. Like, great, thank you. I know I did my job. I'm proud of myself, as you should be. This is an excellent way to cut ties with your homophobic family. And I hope that the engagement goes well. I hope that the wedding goes fantastically. You sound great. These people, I want to be your friends. I think that this wedding is going to be fantastic. And I wish nothing but the best for you. And I hope that your family are still pissed and grumbling and upset about the events that occurred and are feeling just flabbergasted. I was getting tampons, officer. So I got pulled over one night coming back from Walmart. I definitely deserved the ticket, speeding, but the cop was asking for too much information. It was late, I was cramping, I just wanted to be home so I could stop bleeding in my pants and eat cookies. Of course, the typical question, do you know how fast you were going? Big sigh, yes sir, 65. Where are you coming from? Okay, fair question I guess, it is 12 a.m. Walmart, officer. What were you getting at Walmart? Okay, why do you need to know that? I just want to get home, my guy. But since you asked, I was getting tampons. Do you want to see them? His eyes got wide and he walked away without saying a word. Came back to give me my ticket and he couldn't make eye contact. Most expensive box of tampons I've ever bought. However, the look on the guy's face was priceless. It's so funny for so many reasons. Of like, one, yeah, bro, why do you need to know what she was buying at Walmart? Like, how is that relevant to anything? Very, very odd question that doesn't need to be asked at all. And I hope that this taught you your lesson to not just try to make conversation and ask too many questions that are unnecessary to people when you pull them over. And also extra hilarious because, like, come on, bro. You're a grown-ass man and the mention of tampons makes you blush, makes you uncomfortable. You can't make eye contact with someone because she's on her period. Like, bro, you are a grown-ass man. Get over it. The fact that it worked, like, I'm glad it worked and I hope that this man doesn't ask again, but the fact that it worked is so sad. Like, you could just say, okay, great. Like, okay, cool. Thanks for answering. Okay, I don't know what else you could say. Like, it'd be weird to be like, I hope you're feeling good, but like, go eat some chocolate. You know, but you know, asking the question kind of opens it up for conversation too. Like, what if she'd have said something else? What if she's like, oh, I was buying cookies. What were you going to say next? Were you going to have a conversation about cookies? Were you going to be like, why did you buy cookies? Like, what's the point of this whole line of questioning? Why did you need to go to Walmart in the middle of the night? Why did you need to buy cookies at midnight? I don't know, because fucking I wanted cookies. Like, why do you need to know where I was? Or like what I was getting there? Knowing where you are, like you say, valid. But knowing what you're getting, like, that's so irrelevant. If someone's going to be traumatized by the idea of tampons, they deserve it. You know? Bro, get over it. It's fucking tampons. Chill the fuck out. Okay. Woman rudely tells me to get plastic surgery. I told her. When my son was born, he was a large baby. He weighed 10 pounds, was 24 inches long, and had 15-inch head. Needless to say, I had a lot of stretch marks. Following my son's birth, I had health problems, and it took years of hard work for me to lose the weight and get rip-roaringly fit again. I left my cheating ex and started dating my now husband when my son was 5. My new boyfriend took me to Miami for a short vacation, and after working hard for my six-pack, I decided that despite my insecurities, to finally wear a bikini. We were relaxing, drinking, and enjoying the atmosphere of Nikki Beach in South Beach, and I was having a fantastic time. That is, until I went to the restroom. In the ladies' room, a woman I'd never met, never seen, and certainly never spoken to came up to me and rudely said, "You know they have plastic surgery for all that now, you know," while gesturing to my lower stomach abdomen area. The fuck? Imagine saying that to anyone, let alone a fucking just stranger that you ran into in the bathrooms. My God, what is wrong with some people? Whatever is said is absolutely deserved. I was speechless, and she mistakenly thought that my silence was either approval for her to continue or that I hadn't heard her. So she said it again, but this time she added that I really shouldn't go out in public like that because not everyone wants to see that. Ew. What the fuck? After I recovered from shock, I forced myself to burst into hysterical tears. She looked stunned and said, "I'm sorry, you didn't know you looked that bad?" What kind of response? Okay. And I replied, it's not that. I have 7 children and my baby who gave me these stretch marks just died 3 months ago. And I continued to sob. Her face was twisted in horror. And her 2 friends standing by that had been trying to ignore her told her she was a complete bitch, comforted me, and they left the area entirely. I hope she learned her lesson. I also hope she learned her lesson. My God, it's this fascinating thing of the fact that like, the only way these people can learn is if you give them like worst case scenario, like extreme version. Like you saying to her like, hey, that's fucking rude as hell isn't gonna work. You have to like straight up traumatize them for them to be like, oh my God, I don't know what someone's going through. I have to think about it because the next person I say this to might have had a miscarriage. The next person I say this to, their child might have died. Like, not just that it's like a decent person thing to do to like not say this shit, but the only thing that will make them not say it is because they might be traumatized. And that's astounding. The reasonable thing here is you just don't say that shit to people. It's really none of your business, is it? Not everyone wants to see this. Okay? Why though? Like, you don't have to look at her. And what's the problem with stretch marks? What's the problem with people that look different? I don't understand how someone's body can offend you. How does the way someone else look impact you in literally any way at all? Who are you to go telling random people to get plastic surgery and you think that they're unattractive? And then when they get upset being like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know, you didn't realize that you looked bad. What kind of bullshit? Oh my God. She absolutely 100% deserved that. I hope she never does it again. Although the reason she doesn't do it again is the wrong reason. But at least she won't do it again, hopefully. And with that, I think I'm going to end this video here. Let me know if you want to see one of these videos again. If this video gets enough likes, then I will make another one sometime. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I'm here every few days, and I would love to see you again soon. A massive thank you to my Sprout and Above patrons whose names are up on the screen right now. I appreciate you greatly. And a huge, huge thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons. Bobby, Josh, Mandy, Ikazel, Jessica, Eldo, Danielle, Elias, Chris, Samuel, Radsack, Mr. Noodle, Jonathan, and Bonbon. I love and appreciate you so, so much. Thank you so much for joining. If anyone else would like to become a patron, you go to patreon.com/savvycat or click the top link in the description. For as little as £1 a month, you get my videos early, as well as podcasts early. And then for £3 and up, you get things such as outtakes, bonus mini podcasts, live streams, vlogs, and more. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah. When you close your eyes, you replace